Hello there. Today we tell a story that Datastar V1 has shipped, and the sun is setting down on good work done and V1 forever. So it's time to rest around the fire, right? And around this fire, the first one to tell the story will be Delaney on how he found other big brains, Grug. So it's Delaney, so let's give him a grey beard. Alright. And he wrote an essay in the Datastar website, which is called Grugs Around the Fire. It's a very good essay. You need to speak Grug speak, right, to understand it. But he's speaking about when he parted ways with HTMX because he wanted to use TypeScript so he can have types and catch bugs in developing the application, and that's where Datastar kind of went into a framework of different modules so that complexity will be broken up into manageable parts instead of the HTMX one big JavaScript file to rule them all. And as old-time Grug explained well, this is always worth speaking. Complexity bad. Apex predator of Grug is complexity. Complexity very bad. Complexity very, very bad. Given choice between complexity or one-on-one against T-Rex, Grug takes T-Rex. At least Grug see T-Rex. And complexity is a big reason why I didn't want to do large-scale projects in web development, and I feel that I can do them now with Datastar. So these were wise words indeed. And then he speaks about how HTMX and Alpine often overlap, and it feels like Apex Predator disguised as rock when you try to manage state with another library. But it's fine. I like this phrase. Some Grug like Stick Club cause simpler make. Some Grug like Spike Club. So Spike Club is Datastar. Cause simpler to take down T-Rex. We'll see why it's important. Like just here actually says Grug learn from other Grug but think found better club. Maybe not simpler at start of project, but much simpler and less think over wall hunt. Grug like to think about hunt, not club or who mess with it. And this is very important, right? Datastar is club that makes you think about hunt and not club design. So yeah, he goes on and he says, yes, we are around the fire, so I hope, says Delaney Grug, Hypercave have room for different Grugs at the same fire. And then he makes a plea for big brain smarts. If there are big brain TypeScript shaman, us small brains could use your help making the types even better. Have ideas around partials, but small brains sad with lack of deep ritual magic. If want make better world for all, please eat small brain overhead on Discord. And that's where I found the other people, right? That's where I found Ben. That's where I found GM Stevens, who contributed originally to making the morph and all the stuff feel way better. So let's put them here. Ben is we're going to do Ben like this, right? He's always angry because Delaney is about to speak. And GM, he had a cat, so let's give him some cat ears, right? I remember his profile pictures. So cute. And we have other Grugs who join as well. Let's put Zangster with a nice yellow hat there. And Gaspacho King, who was mentioned in the V1 release. Let's give him I don't know what he looks like, but he has Kyber throughput, so let's give him a nice yellow beard and yellow hair like this. Now, why am I telling you this story? Because me also found a big brain Grug. So that was a nice plea. So this is my friend. He's very cool. I will give him something like cool sunglasses, right? And he also has like 6 arms because this obviously was AI generated. But AGI is right around the corner, right? Just 2 more weeks. But still, I want to talk about my big brain friend. So this is a guy, French guy who I met recently, and he was interested by Datastar, and he took a look at my code at tmp.leg.ovh, where I took the cursor party. Oh, by the way, this video was initially going to be called the Datastar disaster. I wanted to be cheeky and say, well, the Datastar disaster is that nothing happened with this website. This website sent 10 full HTML frames to whoever was connecting over 10 days of vacations. Yes, I am back from vacation, right? This is not a filter on the camera. This is a normal orange tan, but I'm not running for president, right? Don't worry. So I estimated that this spent my 1 gigahertz server sent 8 billion frames of HTML while I was in vacation, and when I came back nothing happened because there is no reason something would break. I was very at rest with it. Really nice vacations. And he took a look at this and he sent me like a pull request where he made modifications, and we are going to look at these modifications together because I think they are quite sensible. So remove periodic refresh and send updates only when necessary. So let's take a look at that. The first thing here, so the previous video, if you haven't seen it, is multiple cursors, right? I will put the link in the description. The first thing is I used to define a window.fun function and call it when I send the first HTML page, and this is obviously completely nonsensical. If you want a function to be executed when the script is first loaded, just call it, right? Just define your function and call it at the end. So a real good catch. Then you can see it's really it's really interesting. Then a new stuff he does is run by device pixel ratio. He say to avoid problem of subpixels, you can use device pixel ratio, which is a property of the window, and to perform some math, round value times dpr, then divide by dpr, so that it lines up better. Because I do a 100 by 100 division, right? So it gives a bit of a, cranky feeling. So using device pixel ratio here is quite interesting. Then it does something very surprising. He's going to call this function, define a JavaScript function to say, okay, round the x and y parameters with dpr, just like we did before. But then he's going to change the signals within the JavaScript, and he managed to do that quite well, right? Body equals get document by ID, body set attribute data signals, and he passed them as JSON. This actually is valid, right? I defined the signal and modified it with Datastar using inline JavaScript, but this is perfectly fine as well. And what it does as well is a bit of an optimistic update. But I think it's fine. Right. Well, he gets the cursor and moves it immediately. And this is supposed to reduce latency, but we have already so few latency, right? But I can't be mad at him for doing this. This is just quite funny. You can do it with Datastar. Then we go to the Python file. We only did like 2 files, but this Python file was written in Stereo. And by the way, Stereo just got a massive update, right? V 3.0. This update is going to be the subject of the next video, I think, but it's quite a bit to take at the moment. Still, I want to give a huge shout out to Bobowski, right? Let's give him a nice hat for releasing Stereo 3.0 and some beard as well, and a smile. Smileys like this because he managed to put it, and a drop of sweat because it was a lot of work. Hey, hi Adam. So where were we in my story with my Grug friend? He wrote really interesting and sensible stuff in Stereo, a framework built for Datastar, and he didn't know neither framework, neither Datastar nor Stereo. I think that's impressive. Imports Re because he's going to use some regex. Alright, and by the way, this code was horrible, right? I was in the middle of moving to another direction, writing comments everywhere, and talking to myself. He still went through it. What a hero, right? Reading other people's code is bad, but if they are speaking all over the place and in the middle of a fork in the road, terrible. And a really very sensible thing it does to improve is using this 1/30 for the refresh rate, so 1 over the FPS. It's more sensible than just saying I had the values in my head, but when you read it, it makes a lot more sense. Parse user ID, so what he's going to do is have a main user ID so that your cursor in the future, I think, may have some different sprite than the rest so that you can find it among the crowd. Another smart thing it does, build cursor div, break complexity rock into smaller rocks, right? And is doing it with Stereo because it's easy to build HTML with Stereo, so why not? And you see it's defining an attribute data main cursor dynamically in the Python, then sending it, which I think it's quite good. And this makes that building the mousetrap, which is all the cursors, all the mouses, is way easier to read. So another win for my friend. And then it does something which is interesting. In the index root, so it starts as usual with getting the cookie, identifying where the request came from, if we've seen this one before, and performing the modifications, but in creating the HTML. It does data on pointer move and data like we did, and data on pointer move like we did, but not exactly like we did, right? Our first pointer move, as we said, we were modifying data directly, a signal called data that was defined before. And then instead of doing an on interval, it's just doing an on pointer move, so that we are not like sending unnecessary stuff to the server, which I think was interesting. And you renamed the route, you will see here, at post sync, maybe CQRS is hard to explain to people who are really about thinking the back end and the front end. So maybe if we try as a helper community to explain it with, well, we think from the back end, never the other way around. Maybe it's a way of seeing things. That's better. I don't know. And then it's just like the usual stuff, right? The usual stuff. Then in the sync is doing maybe for debugging purpose, but this is where Stereo is really shining. Is trying to debug his code, and so in his relay is going to have a lot of different messages. I was just doing like a relay with nothing inside it. I think for relay subscribe, yeah, just a relay subscribe refresh. But he's doing stuff with join, so named events, join, leave, move, and that just show that once your logic is in the backend, you can do so much more. If you have a good pub subsystem and you can make stuff talk, it's going to be so much easy that you will be adding more communications channels, and you will have an easier time debugging. This is something we don't talk about, I think, as much as we should. And what's funny is it's still wrapping it in a try block, the async for, but w.alive in Stereo takes care of this. But you can't expect people to know all about Stereo, and I will make a Stereo video for that, right? And finally, to delete the user in the database. Signal empty, blah blah blah. He has no refresh tick. I don't know where he's publishing move here. Yeah, because he's now doing it on pointer move instead of on interval. I was just refreshing on interval, right? And because he's doing it on pointer move, he just move the emitting part of this subsystem somewhere else in the backend code, and that was that, right? You can change all the logic of your application by just changing how things are wired in the backend and not changing anything in the front end at all. That's the magic of Datastar, and I gave it a thought, and I don't think that's quite possible with HTMX as well. There you go. And he even changed in here the port to use it on localhost instead of the Unix socket. So another thing that's really important here, I'm not seeing any AI generated code, right? I'm sure you can agree this is honest work of a big brain developer trying his best to understand a new framework and application. So yes, that was the video for today. I hope that you enjoyed our little trip around the fire and the story of how I met Big Brain Grug. I am now reading my notes, trying to find if I forgot anything, but I don't think so. Props to him for his modification. I hope to see him next week. I will keep you posted. But props to him for not using AI. And we are going to have a book club, right? Just after a small message, because if you're still there and it's because you're chilling around the fire, tell me in the comments why you didn't put any message or why you didn't really seem to care about the previous video about black and white photographies. Maybe that's not your stuff, but go there, right? It's nice. Leave a comment or two. I still want to make a lot of websites, and so I need some kind of feedbacks. It's always good. And so for the book club, in my vacations, I read Solaris, and I won't talk a lot about it, but of course it was an amazing experience. You should read Solaris, and you should read Solaris near the beach, near the ocean, at least. It was a fantastic read, and I love them. And I plan to see the movie, which I haven't seen. I plan to see the movie as soon as possible. And I read Too Big to Fail, which was also a very interesting read, from which I got a lot of things, a lot of parallels to the AI bubble, which is brewing. Right, this one was about the 2008 financial bubble. Yeah, the two things I wanted to say about this book was that it's amazing how well paid top of the pop people couldn't, even at high ranking position in big banks, make a goddamn Excel, right? A model representing the truth. And they were managing states in two places, right? Because you had the position, your asset that you were saying to the world, and the real dirty stuff, right? Lehman Brothers used a lot of these things where it would hide and move some stuff so that it didn't appear on the book, while on the quarterly report then moved them back around and stuff like this. And when shit hit the fan, they were like, what's the real state again? So yeah, this is what I wanted to say. If we were cavemen around the fire, I will tell you the story of how in the distant future people will be managing states in two places in finance, leading to the terrific crash, and then in software development, and the crash is coming. So let's hope the sky doesn't fall on our heads. Congrats to the Datastar team for the release of V1. I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, sleep well.